Going live.
I told you I was going to go live.
I'm already live. I'm live now.
You're not good.
I am good. No. I'm good at going live. Man, look at my hair.
I gotta see what the cat was doing because I don't trust him. The cat was walking around.
No, he came this way underneath the couch.
That's not.
I'm live and look at my face.
Hello, everyone.
Look at my hair.
Wow, I'm gonna cut your hair later. Are you ready?
You're not cutting my hair.
You said I could.
Look at it though. It's all Jerry curl thing.
I know, but you said I could cut it.
I never said you could. You just been insisting and saying you're going to.
You said okay as long as you use a comb with the razor blade.
And then what did you tell me?
I said no. I'm just gonna go with the razor.
And then we've moved on.
I'll let you cut my hair. I need a little trim across the
I'm
bottom.
going to cut your hair the way you're cutting mine.
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, let's do this.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Make sure you check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. Thank you for watching this right now on YouTube and Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram.
You sound like you've done that before.
I've done it before. Welcome to the show. We're so glad you're here. Okay, let's see. Let's give it a few minutes. People are logging in.
Yeah, we got to wait for everybody to join the theater.
I see people logging
Everyone
in.
take your seats. Take your seats.
Make sure you sit 2-3 seats apart.
That's right.
Hopefully you have your mask on. We don't need you next to people.
Oh, were we supposed to wear a mask on the show?
Spreading your coronas.
Were we supposed to wear a mask?
You're always supposed to. How can I share this?
All right, well, let's move
on. Now.
So, again, the theaters aren't quite open yet.
Your camera's crooked.
I know that it shifted. We have to move the YouTube camera. We have to move it back and forth. Like used to, it sat in one space.
Yeah.
Never left a spot. Well, right now, I'm teaching all my martial arts classes virtually, my fitness classes virtually.
Oh, and then we had the earthquake last week.
Yeah, and then we do these shows. So it's got to transport to the garage dojo, then back and forth to here. So it's constantly. Yeah, and then there was if you didn't see the show last week, there was an earthquake situation where everything just took a tumble in the middle of the show. And don't worry, we did not edit it out. So if you go watch last week's show, you will see it. And then the camera took another tumble last week in the workout area. Remember when I was trying to move everything around and then it fell? No. So anyway, so it's sitting a little bit crooked. Happening. We don't care. We're going to act like it's supposed to be like this because we're in the world of topsy-turvy craziness right now anyway.
We don't even know. My eye hurts.
And the theaters are still closed. Even though some things are opening, none of our theaters, to my knowledge, are open yet.
No, I think
and even if they were,
I think they're being smart by waiting.
Even if they were, there's nothing new yet anyway. So we got some new DVDs. We got a movie we rented. Did we watch anything on Netflix this time? I don't think we did. I think we just watched these two films. I watched this one. Then we watched. Oh, we watched one I'd already seen that you had never seen.
Yeah.
And then we watched the other one we rented. So we rented 2 movies.
Well, and this one that we forgot to talk about.
Yes. So we got
a lot to talk about.
So we actually have more than you might think. But I will say this.
That's what she said.
We have a DVD we're going to talk about that was sent to me for review. We have one that we watched in Disney Plus, which we paid for. And we paid out of our pocket for the other 2 movies we're going to talk about. So this is it. So we're trying to support it as much as we can. One of the movies I'd already seen, but she hadn't, so I'd like us to go revisit it. So what would you like to talk about first, ma'am?
Let's talk about the one we missed.
That we forgot to talk about?
Did you write about it?
I did not.
All right. So this is on Disney Plus. It is Dolphin Reef.
And we watched it 2-3 weeks ago. We just kept forgetting to talk about it.
We just forgot about it. I think I got distracted because that same weekend we watched the elephants. There was like so many.
No, we didn't though. Remember we watched it. We were planning to watch it. We watched the elephants. We never watched Dolphin Reef before the show. So we said, let's watch it for the next week. And then we watched it. Then we never talked about it.
Just so you know, anytime there's a movie about animals or a documentary, I watch them all. I love animals. I really do. I'm scared of buffalo and bison. And
that's funny to watch. And it doesn't matter if they're alive, if they're stuffed.
Oh, the worst is that stuffed one. Bobby made me take we were in San Antonio. We're in a museum. It was Native American, whatever. And there's a big-ass buffalo with its big eyeball staring at me. And Bobby's like, come here, take a picture. And so I'm walking around the corner like, ah! And so I'm like.
I made her stand next to it. Mind you, again, it's not alive.
It's stuffed.
And she's standing next to it like going.
No.
Like it's going to get her.
It's okay, it was going to eat me.
It can't eat you. First of all, I believe they're vegetarians.
No, they're not. Are they?
They eat grass.
I'm going to go look this up.
I'm pretty sure they're like cows.
Well, no,
Are you afraid of cows?
Yes. Because they're big and they stare at you with their big old eyes. I think what it is.
Look, you stare at me with your big old eyes. That's what it is you don't like people that have bigger eyes than you.
That's what
you got those gigantic eyes. You're like those goldfish with the eyes on the side of their heads. That's your big
I don't
eyes.
like those big animals with the big eyes. It gets me. Anyways, Dolphin Reef.
It's exclusive. Another Disney Nature exclusive on Disney Plus.
So it's narrated by Natalie Portman. That's all you need to know.
I forgot about that.
Yes, but it's actually really cute. It follows the little dolphin. What's his name?
Echo.
Echo.
Which was funny because that was the name of the dolphin, the video game in Sega.
Oh, Sega.
Echo the dolphin.
Anyways,
and you were a dolphin and you jump out of the water hitting bubbles and stuff.
So it's actually really interesting. So it follows a young dolphin who's learning to be part of his little pack of people. And it's interesting that there's like little families of dolphins. Pack of people. Well, his pack of dolphins. His herd of, and there are different little herds of dolphins and they don't all get along. Like they're fighting for territory for the fish or whatever they're eating. So that was interesting to me. And this one, his mom is trying to show him how to hunt and how to catch fish. And he's just off doing whatever like a normal kid. Messed up teenagers that don't listen. That's basically what it was. And there's one time where he gets separated and he has to spend like the entire night alone. And he doesn't know where anyone is. And he's all scared. And he's like,
I love that when you get all of the storylines. Because these are not typically the stories that actually happen that they shoot a lot of times. They follow these around and then they craft a storyline based on the footage they shot of following these characters. And she's all like, oh my God, he's alone. What do you think he did all night?
All night. It was him and his turtle friend. And they, because he got separated from his mommy. And his mommy's like, trying to find him.
How? Is that your official dolphin
impression? Yeah, I can't make I can't do any.
I do a dolphin impression in the swimming pool.
Oh, yeah, you do this in the swimming pool. He's like, no, but.
How? You look like you're being electrocuted.
No, that's this.
They were about the same thing.
And they'd be foaming in the mouth. Anyways, these dolphins are the cutest things. I don't understand.
Ow!
What?
You just gouged half my kneecap out with your claw.
I don't have any claws.
Well, you have enough to gouge out my kneecap.
Anywho.
Trying to kill me.
This is an Oscar and Golden Globe nominated actress, Natalie Portman, narrating Disney's Dolphin Reef, telling the spectacular story of Echo, a young bottlenose dolphin. But it's cool because it's not just the dolphins. It's about the entire reef and the ecosystem of the reef.
Well, that's how all the Disney nature things are. They always have a focus point of whatever animal or area they're dealing with. But then they always talk about the other things that they have to deal with and what surrounds them and what helps them in the circle of life, if you will. So it is interesting. It's like, you're going in with the elephants or with the dolphin, and you're going to learn about some other animals and creatures. And it's not always about how they work together. Sometimes it's just, hey, this is here. Because there's like this lobster, crab, scorpion thing.
Yes.
That weird thing that's building tunnels and bridges with coral and stuff, and it's dealing with the other things that destroy it and annoy him, and but it's got these big boxing gloves on it that
and then it's got what's that mean fish, the puffer fish,
the one with the teeth.
Yeah, the one that's like drawing the.
Oh, that wasn't a puffer fish. That was the
oh, what is that thing called? It's creepy.
Hold on. The lutefisk. What's it called? Oh my God, it was in Star Wars. Cuttlefish.
A cuttlefish. Yeah.
Remember, because when they're in Naboo, when they're in the water, and the thing with the big face tentacles comes out, and Jar Jar goes, cuttlefish. Oh. It's a gigantic cuttlefish.
Man, that thing is crazy because it can change colors, and it like entrances the fish, and goes, and then with that nose, like,
that's how you got me.
Pretty much.
She kept changing colors and waved her hands like this, and I was like, this woman is crazy. If I don't go with her, she's going to kill me.
Anyways, it's a cute story. We get to see the humpback whales, killer whales like shamus. We get to see sharks, dolphins, turtles, like
fishes,
the fishies, and the crabs and everything. It is a cool movie or documentary. I really liked it. If you go to the Disney Nature website, they also have activity packs for kids, which is pretty cool. So, I'm downloading that.
There's also, which we haven't watched yet, very much like the elephant movie, there's a documentary movie telling how they made that one, which we didn't get a chance to watch that one.
Not yet, but I saw like the clip of it, and it's like the little tiny man filming this giant humpback whale, and it's insane. Like I would be I was freaking out with the people filming the elephants. Because there were like lions and stuff coming into their camp at night, and all you see are the eyes, like, and they're prowling through their camps.
I love that when we talk about this, you do your very random impressions of every animal.
And then there were snakes in their tent, but here was
there a snake in their boot?
There's a snake in my boot. They're stuck in the middle of the ocean. I think it freaks me out because I can't swim.
This is true.
So to me, this already is causing some major anxiety.
You did sleep. You did swim with dolphins.
I technically did swim.
Well, you didn't swim with dolphins. You stood on a cage in the water.
I touched it like this, and I took a picture.
And then you quickly ran away.
I did. And actually, what happened was Bobby.
I swim with dolphins and manatees.
Basically, what happened is Bobby grabbed me by the back of the life jacket, and he pushed me out there like this.
I held on to her like I was hanging her over the edge of a cliff.
And I'm in the water, and I'm not good in the. I'm like dead weight. I didn't even move my feet or anything. I'm just there, and you're literally having to hold me up.
And then I had to pick her up to bring her back.
And then
she wouldn't move.
And then the dolphin comes up, which, by the way, is kind of creepy because they do have teeth. And then you put your hand out like this, and the dolphin's here, and you smile and take the picture. And the lady's like, "You want to swim with the dolphin?" I'm like, "No, thank you. I got my money's worth." That's in the middle of it.
And I did just have something. Yes, please.
You did, and they pushed you on your feet up in the air. It's the coolest thing. Cool. It really is cool and creepy.
The manatees were the most awesome, though.
That thing tried to eat you.
It did. It tried to eat my groin. Well, here's the thing: is the manatees? What they say, they were at least 500 to 1,000 pounds each.
Yes, they're gigantic.
There was 4 of them, and there was this little girl out there swimming with them, and she was feeding them lettuce. Mm-hmm. So she was in the water, just kind of tearing lettuce off and giving it to them or dropping them in the water. And I had an underwater camera, so I got out in the water. I was putting the camera underwater, snapping pictures so I could see them. I'm assuming that one manatee thought the string on my bathing trunks, my swim trunks, was a piece of lettuce because it was doing this in the water. Because it came right at my groin. I'm like, no, 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 no. And I was pushing it to the side, and it kept following me. Mm-mm. So me and those manatees were pretty close, but they were awesome. Because then I had a picture with me picking up a manatee out of the water, which, because obviously in the water you can lift stuff. I'm holding it up, and I'm holding this gigantic monster of a mammal. Cool, man. It was awesome.
You get into so many adventures that sometimes are great, and sometimes they backfire. But I guess that one was
Name one that backfired.
The llama.
Did it really backfire though? Because that was really an awesome story.
I guess so. The bison at Arbuckle Wilderness.
That didn't do anything.
They were going to ram my car. The weird ostrich that pooped in front of our car. That was nasty.
That looked like its whole butthole fell out. Anyway, Dolphin Reef.
Some interesting animal experiences. But you should watch Dolphin Reef on Disney Plus right now. After the show.
Yeah, not right now, but later on today. If you have Disney Plus. If you don't have it, it's like $7 a month. Just kidding. Be quiet.
Yeah, you should, because then you can watch a bunch of cool stuff. They have all of National Geographic. I mean, it's not just Disney cartoons.
No,
they have all of National Geographic.
Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic.
They have everything.
Whatever else. And this Monday, May the 4th, I believe is Monday, is the series finale of the Clone Wars.
That's crazy.
I'm stressed because I don't know if I'm ready to deal with this ending again. And if you had been seeing what's already happened, yowzas.
Well, I'm just now catching up. I'm watching some of the highlight episodes.
I will be rewatching these final episodes with you once you get to the point. Mm-hmm. So you can't watch it without me because I want to be there to watch you experience it.
Okay.
And we will talk about it on our TV Tuesday if we ever do another episode.
We will. We missed it this time. I don't know.
All right. So what else you want to talk about? You want to talk about the one I watched by myself?
Tell me that.
Okay. So this one was going to be part of Martial Art Movie Monday because it is a martial arts flick. But after watching it, I need to talk to you about it, and you're probably not going to be there anymore for Martial Art Movie Monday for a while. So I'm like, you know what? I have something else I'm working on already.
The dog is tooting and it smells.
That's probably you. She blamed my poor dog. So anyway, this is a movie called.
Very distinctive toot.
This is a movie from 1980, I believe it is. I don't have it in front of me now. Or 1970. I think it came out in 80, but I think it was shot in 1979. Okay. But it's called Fist of Fear, Touch of Death. Now, if you look here on the credits, which you probably can't see very well, it says 3 great masters: Bruce Lee, Fred Williamson, and Ron Van Cleef. Okay. Now, this is the 40th anniversary edition. Came out, like I said, about 1980. The first problem with Bruce Lee starring in this movie is he died in 1973.
Okay.
That's problem one. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is a documentary, and they're
or
just
maybe
saying,
it was a late release.
Well, but it's got Fred Williamson and Ron Van Cleef in it, who I don't think so. So here's basically what it is.
Okay.
It is shot like a documentary.
Okay.
Okay. There's a guy named Adolf Caesar. That's the actual actor's name. He's done a ton of stuff. You'd probably know him if I showed him to you, some other stuff he did. He plays like this reporter commentary, and basically what they're dealing with is the death of Bruce Lee.
Okay.
And they're trying to find a worthy successor to Bruce Lee. Don't know why this is necessary, but they've decided they want to. So they're holding some kind of a tournament.
Oh, it's always a tournament.
Yeah, so whoever wins this tournament would be the worthy successor of Bruce Lee. I don't know how that justifies anything, but whatever.
Go with it.
So Fred Williamson, Ron Van Cleef is literally in the movie for 5 minutes, if that. They basically are interviewing him while he's working the punching bag and breaking stuff in like a dojo. His opinions of Bruce Lee and this, and then he's gone and we never see him again. I'm like, what was the point?
Okay, so
if you don't know who Ron Van Cleef is, he was known as the Black Dragon. He was a martial arts fighter and stuff. He was an awesome guy. I've met him. He's a very nice man. Fred Williamson is he was widely known for a lot of the black exploitation films of the 70s and 80s. He's always had a big stogie. He wasn't Shaft. That's Richard Roundtree. But he's in that era of stuff. He was also a football player, and I believe he was a martial artist of some sort as well. So he's in it, and he was always one of those like slapping the bitches, and But every movie he always shows him with some lady, right? And this movie is no exception, right? So here's what they did to make this movie work. As this movie is going through, this basically serves 3 stories. Okay. There's the main story about trying to find the successor of Bruce Lee.
Okay.
And is essentially a lot of footage of these different famed martial artists at the time, not actors, actual martial artists, doing demos in the middle of a ring. Then after they introduce each person, they go out on the street somehow with them, and they're getting some kind of an altercation in the street. Like Ron Van Cleef ends up fighting some guys that are trying to mug a lady.
Okay.
All right.
Corona. Corona.
Excuse me, sorry. Then there's a guy named Bill Louie, who's an Asian guy. He does his demo, and then all of a sudden he shows up in this Cadillac to save some lady dressed as Kato. But he's got a mustache and longer hair.
He's dressed as Kato?
Kato. You know who Kato is?
Yeah.
Bruce Lee from Green Lantern.
It was he that was dressed.
Who?
He was the one dressed like Kato.
I thought you said Mr. Furley.
Yes.
Yeah, but Bill Louie was dressed as Kato.
I gotcha.
He runs around and I'm like, he doesn't even look like Kato. And I thought he was trying to make us think that was Bruce Lee. Then at the end of it, he says, and he's wearing one of those old party type masks with the white string that holds it on. Mm-hmm. Right? So anyway, so that's one story we're dealing with. It's already convoluted enough.
That's weird.
I think it was the producer or the director. I don't know who got it, but they had got the rights to 2 other movies. Neither one of them were big successful hits, I guess, in the U.S. One called The Thunderstorm. One called The Invincible Super Chan. Okay?
Okay.
This is important to know these information. Not necessarily the names, but the Invincible Super Chan is essentially just a samurai chopsaki karate flick, right? Like Chinese Super Ninjas, Kid with the Golden Arms, all those kind of movies. Wu-Tang Clan. So there's that movie, right? And it's like a period type. So, it's like the feudal Japanish kind of mentality.
Love it. Okay.
The Thunderstorm is a black and white drama, an Asian Chinese drama that stars Bruce Lee when he's like late teens, early 20s. Before, and it's not a martial arts movie. It's just acting. It's one of, most people may not know this, but Bruce Lee was an actor all the way from when he was a little kid. He didn't become the big martial arts superstar until he actually came to Hollywood and started back and forth. But he had made those. So in this, they took this movie. So as they're telling the story, they're telling the story of Bruce Lee. So the black and white footage is supposed to be seeing Bruce Lee as a young adult. So they redubbed that movie to be Bruce Lee's storyline of his life, right? And him fighting with his brother and his parents about wanting to be this and this, and them not agreeing with him. The samurai movie, which is where one of the biggest issues comes, is supposed to be Bruce
There's already some issues.
It's supposed to be Bruce Lee's great-great-grandfather or something like that. So this is supposed to be telling why he was so passionate about the martial arts and his connection to the depth of it. And they keep talking about his samurai this. Samurais are Japanese. Bruce Lee is Chinese. So already we have a problem, right? Those two don't even match the dialogue of the heritage. So here's the thing: is this movie is this cult hit thing that I am both offended by and I love, all in the same line. As a martial artist, I'm offended by kind of what they were doing with Bruce Lee's legacy.
Like, oh, they're all Asian.
Well, it's not even just that part. That's the racist part of it. And there's a little book in here that tells you about some stuff. And I read some articles. I researched it a lot. And one of them were saying, when they brought it up and said, well, you know that samurais are not, they're like, nobody will notice. But again, it was the 70s. So there was a different, didn't make it okay, but it was a different mentality.
That's true.
But so as a martial artist, I'm offended at the way they treated Bruce Lee's legacy, the aspect of Chinese-Japanese heritage, things like that. It was driving me nuts. As a film buff, somebody who loves film, especially ones that don't work or they're like cult classics or stuff that hasn't been seen by most people, I love that stuff.
I know you do.
As you know. And this is one of those movies that hits all those categories. The movie ends... Well, I'm not going to spoil the ending because in case you watch it. But what's weird, if you're just joining us, we're talking about, what is it? Fist of Fear, Touch of Death. It ends showing all these people compete. It ends with a kickboxing match, right? With these two full contact kickboxers that fight. One guy wins, and then suddenly he is the now, I guess, the successor to Bruce Lee, but it doesn't explain. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's not even the same martial art.
Well, Bruce Lee is also known as kind of the founder of MMA because he blended styles.
He mixed it.
Which brings me to another point: is they started talking about this guy or the different styles, or like, well, you know, Bruce Lee did this and this and this, and they labeled Jeet Kune Do like he had learned it somewhere.
That was the one he created.
He made it, so they kind of ignored a lot of the truth.
I know that. I saw Dragon.
Yeah, they ignored a lot of the truths of Bruce Lee, but there's two sides of this. Like, you can look at it as insulting. I honestly think it was meant to be more of a homage to his legacy, because there's even a moment later in there is like, we all know that no one can ever fully stand up to the legacy of what Bruce Lee brought us and this and that. And I think that was the point, is when the movie ends, it literally shows the guy's hand being raised, so you know this guy won the tournament, even though all the rest of these people didn't compete with each other at all. It's like, this guy did a demo, these guys did weapon demos, these guys did like one-step demos, these guys did breaking demos, and then the two kickboxers fought, and the guy that won the kickboxing match won everything. It's like, what was the point of the rest of these people?
That's a lot going on in this movie.
And the movie's like an hour and a half.
Oh.
So it's
okay. Wow.
So much.
Okay.
And it is a sight to behold. So if you get a chance, if you're a martial arts fan or just want to see wackiness,
where can you find this movie?
That is a good question. I think if you go to the website for The Film Detective, I put a link in the review. So if you want to go find a copy, the Blu-rays were limited to only 1,500 copies, but there are DVDs as well.
Okay.
So, but it also comes with a little booklet inside. It's not super big, but it does tell the story of them making this movie. And when they put out the posters, Bruce Lee is plastered all over the posters for this. They fully captured. See, that's the Louis guy.
Okay.
They fully took on the plan to capitalize on
his name.
Bruce Lee. Like, this is the original poster. If you can see it, you see Bruce Lee right in the center, and it says the three greatest masters: Bruce Lee, big, and then Fred Williamson, Ron Van Cleef. Fred Williamson is not somebody I would have ever looked at as a martial arts master. Ron Van Cleef, yes, that guy has. Fred Williamson was a football player, martial artist, actor. He was never touted beyond that, to my knowledge. Anyway, and then here's what's funny. During the advertisement here, it says, showing all the different stuff. It says we'll play the same plus second feature wherever needed.
This is a mishmash of things.
And then martial arts demonstrations will take place at various key borough theaters.
Well,
these demonstrations will feature both Fred Williamson and Ron Van Cleef.
Oh,
yes, they performed
there
when this came out in 1989. So
1980.
I mean, what did I say?
In the back thing, it says
1980. Sorry, I was thinking the 79 where they filmed it. 1980 is when it released. Yes. Sorry. But yeah, so this is a...
it's a mishmash of
things. I'll give him credit. It's
a mosh pit.
It's a genius idea. It's a genius idea to frame a film. It doesn't always work, and I will say it was cool just to see Bruce Lee acting, getting to see Bruce Lee do something than just fight. It was kind of cool to see, but as a whole, this will be kept in my collection because it is bizarre, strange, and I'm sure I will show somebody eventually. I'm thinking movie night soon. Anyway, moving on. Then. All right, what else we got?
Right.
So we got the DVD we watched. We also got 2 other movies. So why don't we? This one won't be as long. Why don't we talk about the one we watched today?
Okay, that might take a while because I got a lot to say, girlfriend.
Well, but I don't have as much because I saw it already. We talked about it on the show.
So today, what is it actually called? Because I know
it's called A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
We watched A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Go back over here. Are you trying to find the review?
Yeah.
Go into there because it's already on Blu-ray. So. Anyway,
we watched A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which is a story about Mr. Rogers.
It's actually not about Mr. Rogers. There's right there.
It's about
a guy named Lloyd. Yes.
Lloyd, who comes to interview Mr. Rogers and how that encounter changed both their lives.
Yes, and I had already saw it and talked about it on the show, but she never did. So we paid to rent it today, so you could see it.
We did pay for it. So Lloyd, what's his name? What's the actor's name? Lloyd.
Is it? Hold on. Is it Matthew Rice?
Matthew Rice.
I think it's his name. It's right there.
Why? Who is he, and why do I know him?
I don't remember offhand. Yeah, but you need to talk.
Okay, so it stars Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers. That's all you need to know. Anything Tom Hanks is in, you want to watch because he is the most beloved person in the entire planet. And his blood is going to solve coronavirus with his antibodies. He is going to bring the cure. Tom Hanks.
I think he's the first one a celebrity that was announced that have it. And he's going to be the celebrity that saves us all.
He's going to save us all from bosom buddies to coronavirus savior, Tom Hanks. That's all I got to say about that.
I like that you went with bosom buddies as the first thing.
I love bosom buddies, by the way. That is when I met Tom Hanks. So
that's where most people met Tom Hanks. He did stuff before that, but that's when most.
I don't know whatever happened to the little guy.
Peter Scolari?
Yeah,
he's still around. Did stuff.
He's doing some Shrunk the Kids, right? That was him.
No.
Who is he? Oh,
that's Rick Moranis.
Whatever.
Not the same. Anyway,
but he is doing something. Peter Scolari. I saw him.
He pops in and out of stuff periodically. Anyway, we're not talking about Bosom Buddies retrospect.
I love Tom Hanks, and I loved him in this role because he is such a calming presence in this. And then to know that he really didn't even get the Mr. Rogers thing, he's like, yeah, I don't really get it. But
he got it before as they were filming. But like before he started, he took the role. He was just like, well, because he didn't watch
Mr.
it
down.
Yeah, he didn't. And then he went back and watched it, and then he got Mr. Rogers because he wasn't a Mr. Rogers watcher.
I mean, I was. That was my time period. Did you watch Mr. Rogers?
I did. I watched Mr. Rogers pretty regularly.
Okay.
I think I even watched Mr. Rogers when I was older. I would come across it and I'd be like, hey, it's Mr. Rogers.
Man, you guys, this was such a good movie. I was crying all over the place. Lloyd has some issues with his family that he's dealing with. I think he had some childhood trauma he never got over. And it's so funny that he went to go interview Mr. Rogers, but Mr. Rogers like, well, Lloyd, what happened?
Starts interviewing him.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I'm supposed to be asking the questions, but Mr. Rogers doesn't say anything. He just stares at him.
Well, his response is the best when he says, I'm supposed to be asking you the questions or interviewing you. And he goes, well, aren't you? But they're still talking about Lloyd.
Yeah. And then you're like, you cannot not answer Mr. Rogers.
I know, because every time he talks to him, even as annoyed as he is, he still answers his question. I'm like, I don't think it's physically possible to not answer Mr. Rogers if he had asked you something.
No, I mean, it was so cool. It's not an exact minute-by-minute, play-by-play of what happened. It's based on kind of their interaction.
Well, and it's really about Lloyd and his life.
It's about Lloyd.
Mr. Rogers, Tom Hanks, is a supporting player, but he's in the movie a lot.
He is.
Takes a little while to get to him, but when we do.
And Lloyd Vogel was a writer at Esquire, and this interview he did.
What is his actual name? It was a different writer.
Yeah, we'll have to go look at, but you can go
Todd
somebody. But I'm gonna go read this. I need to go read this interview.
Article?
Yeah, I'm gonna go read the article because it was just supposed to be like a quick 2-3 paragraph, a little column with a photo and some words about how Mr. Rogers is considered a hero for what he does for children's television. But it ended up
because I think they were doing like a whole magazine of different heroes. And so he was supposed to be like, you have a big article about, say, a military person, and then a little except for Mr. Rogers.
Because people considered him like a hero for what he did for children's television. But then at the end, it ends up the lady, his editor, so frustrated. She's like, I liked it. And he ended up writing like 1,000-page thing about how this encounter changed his life.
I think that's what he was winning the award for.
It ended up being a cover story.
In the opening of the film, I think that's what he was winning the award for,
I mean, and it really did change his life. It was profound, I think. And you've got to watch it. It's the most amazing thing. It brings in one of the things that you told me really happened, where the subway people start singing Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood because Mr. Rogers is on the subway. And the guy's like, do you ride the subway a lot? He's like, well, it's the fastest way to get there. Like, why wouldn't he? You know, because he didn't consider himself famous. He didn't think the whole fame thing was for real. He was just trying to do what he could. And if you go and you see all these different interviews with Mr. Rogers, he really was who he really was, I think. I mean,
I'm sure there was moments of
his wife's stories are funny.
His wife said that he'd yelled and there were fights and there were issues, but who doesn't have that?
Yeah.
You know, there's no person alive that doesn't have that ever.
Yeah.
But if there was, I would believe it was Mr. Rogers.
I do too. I mean, he seems so awesome.
So let me ask you this: since this is your first time experiencing it, and we know you love the movie, was it better or about what you expected?
I think it was what I expected because you let me know it wasn't going to be just about Mr. Rogers. Because if I didn't know that, I might have been upset. But the good thing is we had that other Mr. Rogers movie.
The documentary.
Yes, which, by the way, I cried at that one too. I mean, everybody was crying in that theater except for this guy.
When I love.
You have no feelings left.
I do love that there's a moment in that documentary in the last of the movie that had everybody blubbering except for me apparently.
Yes.
And they have that same moment in this movie.
Happens here.
But in the way they handled it, which I'm sure this didn't happen in the story, but the way they did it in this movie was pure genius because it's about a moment of silence, and the sequence are in. Not only do they shut the sound, the music, and everything in the film off, the way it's camera where it's zooming in on Mr. Rogers' face. So now you don't have a choice but to look into his eyes.
Yes, and Tom Hanks is looking at me, and I'm like.
and no sound, and seeing that in the theater gets you in the feels, even though you're not thinking. And it's supposed to be, he always did that, like, let's give 1 minute, and they give you one whole minute in the movie.
They really give you
a whole minute.
Again? I am, because then I'm also thinking about Daniel Lion or Tiger and the little puppet.
Daniel the Tiger.
Daniel Tiger.
I said Daniel Ryan. I'm like, who is Daniel Ryan, and why does he make you sad?
I feel like we've done so much research on Mr. Rogers. We watched a lot of interviews. We know a lot of the stories. We know about the puppets and how he would use those to express himself. And, you know, how he said, when you have anger, how do you let it out? He's telling Lloyd, he's like, have you ever just smashed me? Like, wah, wah, wah. And then you see that, and I'm like, oh, Mr. Rogers was a person. But then you let it go. And I think that's what
there's a moment at the end of the film that's kind of, it's not even pivotal to the rest of the story, really, but he's just playing the piano, and he's playing a normal song. And then out of nowhere, he bangs those keys, like he said, and then he goes right back to playing. And I remember you saying, why did he do that? And I'm like, my assumption was he was just irritated about something, whether it was what they just shot, something else in his life, and he know that's his moment to get his irritation out. And then he goes back to his normal.
I have it for 48 hours. I might watch it again because I just love Tom Hanks. I love Mr. Rogers. I really do.
And did you find it like, because Mr. Rogers was such a recognizable icon of a person and character, I was really afraid that I was just going to see Tom Hanks. And at first you do. Mm-hmm. But about halfway through the movie, I started seeing Mr. Rogers and not Tom Hanks. And I didn't know if you felt the same way.
Yeah, you forget that it's Tom Hanks after a while.
Like, you can't not see Tom Hanks. But,
I mean, it's Tom Hanks.
It still makes you the same relaxed feeling because it's Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Well, and then as the movies go in, and I'm like, oh, I go look at things, and you see the pictures. I'm like, it's like exactly. They take several things that really happen.
I think some of the stuff they shot were the same sets, or the same location, or the same studio, or something.
It's so cool. And then his little wife in this one was so cute because his wife in real life was really fun.
Yeah.
You know.
Didn't she die recently, or is she still alive?
So I
don't remember. I thought she must still be alive. I don't know.
But she talked about.
She was on the press during this movie, I think.
Mm-hmm, he would get angry or. he would toot or just random things.
Yeah.
You know, and
well, if you haven't seen it,
you need to watch it.
Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. It's on Amazon. You can rent it for like $6. And also the documentary "Won't You Be My Neighbor" is amazing.
You need to watch that.
And it's the documentary is probably a good precursor to watch before you see this movie, because it kind of dives into the full creation of the show and what he did and everything else. With this movie is late in his career. The show's been around. He's already left and come back to do the show again, and it's addressed a little bit. So it's a great movie. Yeah,
it's cool. All right. Somebody posted the most powerful 60 seconds in cinematic history is the roar of silence.
Yep.
Because that's what he did. Take a minute. And none of us today will take a minute to think about the people that we love and have impacted us. But you need to.
Yeah, because in that documentary they did at the end of the movie, and nobody saw it coming.
Oh my gosh, I'm crying.
And I think the screen, wasn't the screen just Mr. Rogers' face on the screen?
Yes, because he was like, I'm going to count now.
Yeah, and he looks at his watch the whole time. And you could hear people blubbering all over the room.
I was totally crying, and our friend was crying.
The lights came up, and everybody was like,
it was rough, man. It's so good though.
Anyway, all right. So moving on.
There you go.
Do you want to? What?
And if you don't know who Mr. Rogers is, go Google it, please. Go look it up. Sorry.
The biggest thing this world is missing right now is a Mr. Rogers.
We need a Mr. Rogers, because
if you have somebody in your local area that you think is equivalent to Mr. Rogers, first of all, liar. Second of all, you can send them over, as we will spread them around if they're spreading good and joy, because there's people like that out there.
People may not even know. Sorry, I forgot that part. Mr. Rogers but Mr. Rogers had a children's television program called Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I thought you were going to say something.
No, I was.
But the whole point of his show was to talk to kids about hard issues that we don't know how to talk about
in real life, and your
like
feelings,
racism and your feelings, and what is death, and
war, divorce.
And I mean, he talked about all these things, and I feel like now kids get all their information on Google. And it's not even good information.
I honestly think
talking with your kids.
That's why generations like ourselves and even our parents, because he's been around for a long time, or had been around for a long time, we're better adjusted at dealing with this stuff later, because now everything's about, let's keep them away from seeing the truth of things. You know, because even the cartoons you watch, as much as I love a lot of the new cartoons, none of them really deal with issues. And when we get live action shows, at least most of the ones that I've seen of kids programs, they're educational, but they're education from a standpoint of school.
Yeah. Like
your math and your sciences and stuff, all important, but that's all it is, you know. And he would teach stuff about colors and math and things, but they were always intertwined with a bigger message, you know. And not every episode was like that. There were some episodes that was dealing with being afraid and using the land of make-believe and, you know, in different ways to adjust it. And I think we all used him at some point, or I think a lot of us were helped by him and didn't know we were helped by him at the time.
Yeah. So anyways, okay, that's all. Go Google it if you don't know.
Thank you. So moving on. Do you want to talk about this next one over here, or do you want to talk about the other film we watched?
What was the other
one? We watched, we have this drama, sports inspirational drama. And then we also have the action thriller that we watched.
What was the action thriller?
The shoot 'em up movie we watched last night. Oh, yes. Which one would you like to discuss first? Because there's no review for the other one.
Let's talk about this one.
All right. So we're going to talk about a movie I had no interest in watching.
I had never even heard of it.
The only reason I decided I was going to watch it is because I like Sam Neill. It's a movie called Ride Like a Girl, starring Sam Neill and Teresa Palmer.
I like Teresa Palmer.
She's fine. And I didn't have any interest in watching this, not because it was called Ride Like a Girl. Is I get movies like this all the time, and they just feel like these throwaway, lower budget, blah films. And sometimes I watch them, they be good. Sometimes they're just average. Sometimes they're horrible. But I'm like, you know what? I showed it to her. Matter of fact, when it came in, I said, here you go. Here's a movie for you to watch. I didn't even want to watch it. That's how little I was interested in it. And Louise's like, you know what? Let's watch it for the show together. Yeah. And we watched it. And what did you think?
I really enjoyed this movie, and I learned a lot.
It's a really good movie.
It really is. So it's about Teresa Palmer plays Michelle Payne, and her whole family is involved in horse racing, but they're jockeys, and they race horses. And the goal of everybody, obviously, in this world is to make it to the Melbourne Cup. They're in Australia.
Yeah.
So I guess it'd be like our Kentucky Derby or whatever. I guess so, the Melbourne Cup, like the biggest horse race there. And so she's like next to the youngest kid, I think. And so there's like 7 kids, and each of them ride, and
their mom had passed away prior to this, so the dad's Sam Neill's her dad in the movie, not in real life, raising the kids and trying to run the business and do everything, and they kind of look down on not look down on, but they're like, you don't need to do that, you need to do this at school. But she is probably the most focused of the whole family about being a rider.
She wants to be a jockey. She wants to make it to the Cup, and she goes through moments where they're like, no, go to school. So they send her to school, but she's flunking out of school because she's taking bathroom breaks to go listen to horse races.
There was moments in that reminded me of my childhood of getting in trouble at school for
not doing
the homework I was supposed to be doing because I was drawing. So like we've talked about this on the show before, where it was either martial arts or my drawing always interfered with whatever I was doing. So when I played soccer, after I started doing martial arts, I wasn't very good at soccer at the time. I'm way better at soccer now that I'm so coordinated with my feet. When the kids started playing soccer, I was all over the place and was refereeing and doing everything else. But I would be on the field, and they'd put me at the other end away from the action, so I didn't get in the way of trying to get points.
Yeah.
And I'd do my forms on the field while I was waiting for them to come back.
Yeah.
But at school, when I'd have to do work, I was drawing little cartoons all over everything.
Yeah.
So all my artwork always said, stop drawing on your paper. My dad was the coach a lot of times, and he'd always be yelling at me, stop doing your forms on the field. And so,
needed to.
Look where I'm at now, punk.
What suckers.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, so, throughout the movie, you see, like, some of the other sisters, they get married and go have kids, and some of the brothers get injured. One of the sisters has like a really tragic fall from a horse, and bad things happen. And
so it's essentially a stereotypical sports inspirational drama,
right?
But with a bigger touch of family.
Yeah.
Because the family is so directly in it, and it's not a team sport, so it's an individual situation. And her dad is he's very close to his kids, but he's also very standoffish because of just his personality and dealing with the horses and the riders. He's not mean to them, but he also is hard on them, which also explains why she was so successful in the bigger picture of things.
Yeah.
She also has a brother named Stevie with Down syndrome.
Yes. By the way, so cute.
Which the most awesome thing is the real life Stevie plays himself in the movie.
So sweet.
Which we finished watching, and we were like, could that be the real guy?
Well, and that's what I liked about
because he's older in this film than he probably, because he looked like an older guy.
Yeah.
And that's why I started thinking, I wonder if that's him.
And at the end, the cool thing about this movie, it starts off with real footage of them when they're kids and little, and then it goes into the story, and then it ends with real footage of them at the end. So throughout, you see the real people, which I really like. So yeah, he is like the cutest little thing. The other person in this is the guy from what's that show?
Blind Spot.
Blind Spot.
No, it's not Blind. Is it Blind Spot?
The Blind Spot. Yeah. Sullivan Stapleton, who's the main guy in Blind Spot. Him and the dark-headed girl, who's in from Thor or whatever. Yeah. Anyways, he's in this too. I didn't even know he was Australian. I mean, she's Australian. Sam Neill is
New Zealand.
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
I knew Sam Neill was from New Zealand.
Man. But anyways, she ends up at one point having a real bad fall too, and is pretty much just kind of bedridden for a while. And you can tell that her dad, even though at this point they weren't seeing eye to eye, but her dad was like, if anybody is going to make it, she's going to make it.
Yeah, because there's a family meeting sequence where she's telling everybody, at one point, I want to ride again at some point. And they're like, you can't. They told you can't ride anymore.
She's sitting in a wheelchair saying, I want to ride again.
And the dad never says a word. And he finally stands up, and all he says, he goes, well, if anyone's going to do it. And then he walks out of the room. Mm-hmm. That's all he says. And that was all she needed to hear was like, he believes in me.
Yeah.
While the rest of the people were not believing in her so much as they just were afraid.
Yeah. I mean, this is a crazy movie. And to know that this actually happened.
And for this movie to work, you had to really be able to buy into the horse racing sequences as well. Like any sports movie, you got to buy into the sport that they're doing. Yeah. And the sequences. And they shot some really great stuff with the horse stuff. The way they shot it, it didn't look, it looked real. So I don't know how much is real, how much is CGI, how much is
But man, the filming of this is amazing because those horses are like they are literally this close.
Yeah, they're bumping into each other.
I mean, there are times where they do run into each other and accidents happen, and I mean that's covered in this movie. But I would be freaking out first of all.
That's why you don't do this for a living.
No, I mean I've ridden a horse and I like riding horses. It's fine, but I trot. But can you imagine? They're going so fast, and these people are like, right.
And the best part about this movie is it's PG, so everyone can watch it. Your whole family.
No animals were hurt in the making of this film. It starts off with that at the very beginning.
But it's an inspirational. It's got some funny moments. It's heartwarming. I really like this movie.
I did too, and I feel like also it is a little bit of female empowerment
because
at this point in time, women were not even allowed in the Melbourne Cup, so she had to fight her way into it.
That's the kind of stuff I like seeing when we're seeing different people empowerment, whether it's female or ethnicity or sexuality or whatever. Is a case like this where to see what they went through, not only the negative side, but how they got around it to get their success. You know, how clever did they move? Because, you know, you always see the ones where somebody was just their mouth. They just yelled and fought until they got their way. She was like being sneaky and doing different things to get there. And I thought it was interesting to see that.
You know, to get into it, first of all, her father trained her. That's one part. But as you know. So
she already had the name.
Yeah, she had the family name. They're like, oh, we know your dad. But then, as you know, probably from race cars or whatever, you have to get in with a sponsor. You have to get in. I need to be riding that person's car. So it's the same thing here. She needed to be riding specific people's horses. And so she wiggled her way in, and it was amazing.
But then she also had to get other people to believe in her, to stand up for her. Because there's a moment, too, where she's been winning all these races, but even the people she's riding for didn't want her to ride in the main thing.
They thought she was too reckless.
And she yells at him, whatever, leaves, and the other guy's like, that's what wins races, you know?
Yeah. Well, and then I felt like everything was against.
The other thing, too, that I think is at the same thing, there's a small side story that blink and you'll miss it, but it's Stevie's story.
Yes,
and it's his
sweetest, cutest person.
And it's how he got to where he actually ended up with a career working with horses.
He was working and running the guy's stables.
Well, it's funny because there's a scene where he sees this horse and it's acting crazy, you know, and he grew up around it, so he knows horse behavior. And even though he had Down syndrome, and he jumps over the fence and he's talking to the horse, and the guy comes over to him and said, hey, you can't be doing that. You can't touch that horse. He's like, he's lonely, because this is why the horse is acting up. And he goes, well, you know, you're not supposed to be doing that. He goes, it's okay. I have Down syndrome.
Yes.
Like, he used it like, I don't know any better, so it's okay.
I know.
But you knew darn well he knew what he was saying.
He knew what he was so smart. But so he did. And then, you know, at the end when they were younger, he and the sister, because they were the two youngest, they're like, when we grow up, we're going to have our own company raising horses.
And they do.
And they do.
Yeah.
And I mean, and this wasn't a long time ago. This was in 2015 when she won the cup. Yeah. So, I mean, it's an amazing story.
And she was the first woman to win that cup in, 155 years or something?
Oh, my gosh.
Or was she the first one to ride in it, too, or just first one to win it?
I think she's the first one to win, at least.
Anyway,
we'll find out.
The other cool thing is, not only did I surprisingly love this movie, we're giving copies of this movie away.
What?
So if you want to enter or win a copy, you go to our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
And check it out. It's a great little movie.
There you go.
And don't worry, just because it's foreign doesn't mean it's subtitled.
There's no subtitle.
All right.
It's really good.
So the last movie we're going to talk about was another movie that we kept missing. That we paid for. We finally got around to watching it. It's been out for quite a while on Blu-ray and everything now. But it stars who?
I don't know.
Can you join the show with us? The Shoot 'em Up movie.
Oh, I don't remember which one we saw.
Anyway, we watched 21 Bridges.
Oh.
It's too late. No, you don't get to do it.
Wakanda Forever.
You're Wakanda kicked out of.
I was going to ask you a question. Where is he from? Because he has a little
Chadwick Boseman?
He has a little bit of a distinct accent.
He's from the South somewhere.
That I can't place. Okay, sorry.
His name is Chadwick.
His name is Wakanda Forever.
No, you don't get to Wakanda Forever because you couldn't remember his name.
He's got skinny legs. I don't like that.
Anyway, Chadwick Boseman. It stars 21 Bridges. Stars Chadwick Boseman.
I got you all jacked
You do. Taylor Kitsch, John Carter from Mars. And I just went blank. J.K. Simmons, and Sienna Miller. Those are your main cast.
And this guy, Stephen James, he was really good in this movie too.
It's also got the little boy who plays a young version of Chadwick Boseman, who's from Shameless. So I was glad to see.
That's where you were trying to. Yeah. They're like, where you kept saying, where does this? I seen him
because he's one of the main characters in the Gallagher family. The white family is the little black kid.
Yeah.
So he stands out, and I knew him right away. So anyway, we really both. I know I really wanted to see this movie when it came out. For whatever reason, never saw it.
We just never got around to it somehow.
But we sat down and watched it. So what did you think? Or do you want to tell everybody what it's about first?
So the movie, Chadwick Boseman is a police detective. His father, who was a police officer, was killed in the line of duty, and so his specialty, if you will, is catching what you would call cop killers. And so he, that's his mission. So he's brought in on a case where there were some drugs, and people were trying to move drugs, I guess, and a ton of cops got killed from this one precinct. So they call him in, and there you go. We're in the 21 Bridges, 21 Jump Street. Not even that at all. Okay. So I really enjoyed this film. There was a lot happening. I didn't know how you picked up that was John Carter right away, because all you could see was this much of his face.
2 reasons.
You knew he was.
Well, 3 reasons. 1, I recognize his face.
Really?
Yeah.
I think
because he didn't have a mask on when they first showed him in the movie.
I wasn't paying attention.
I'm aware of that because you spent half the movie on your phone.
Just the first part, and then I got into it.
When people start dying.
Well, secondly, also because you couldn't hear, so I had to start paying attention.
Secondly, his name was in the credits.
I didn't watch the credits.
Third, I already knew he was in it.
Yeah, that's why. Okay, Chadwick Boseman is from South Carolina.
I told you. Anyway, who cares? Anyway,
he's got an accent though that I can't place.
I think it's just his affect, the way he talks.
Maybe so.
And you're used to him talking with a Wakandan accent, and now he's talking
Wakanda forever.
Anyway, moving on. You don't get to talk about it. You were insulting to the movie. You didn't remember.
Anyways.
So the premise: these 2 guys robbed this place. They're kind of screwed over. I know. So now we have it. It's basically the rest of the movie is a chase. 21 Bridges refers to all the bridges to get into the island of. Are they in Long Island?
I don't know. I thought they were in Manhattan.
Manhattan, maybe it is.
They're in Manhattan.
It's the 21 bridges that get in and out of Manhattan.
Boom.
And so they basically lock down the entire island, but they can only lock it down for a certain amount of time. And so they have that amount of time to catch them.
Right.
So the difference between him and the rest of the guys, he wants the truth and solve the case. And he makes a statement earlier in the movie that I don't shoot anybody unless there's no other choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, and one of the biggest problems is when there's a cop killing situation, all the cops become, with reason, get on edge. So they have they're afraid, and this is real life. I mean, they're worried for their own lives because now that means this person's killed an officer, they'll kill more.
Mm-hmm. But
then you also they get into the revenge mode because one of their brothers or sisters have been killed, but you understand both sides for that.
Kind of, but it doesn't excuse an excess use of force.
No, I agree with that. I agree that it doesn't excuse it, but you understand that mentality.
Maybe.
And so he's kind of that buffer in the middle that says, no, we're going to test him, we're going to solve this and figure it out. So then madness clearly ensues because I think the killing galore.
There was some good killing. There's some good action sequences. There's some good
There's all shooting action sequences, not like fight scenes.
Man, he was running a lot in this movie. I liked the car chases. I liked all of that. I liked everything about the movie. There's only one thing that I found disappointing is that I knew right away kind of what was going on.
Well, I think the idea was it wasn't about the secret.
Okay.
It was more about
I knew that.
The chase, because at the head of time who's involved initially because it's very obvious.
Yeah.
Then it makes you wonder. I was hoping that one of the other obvious ones was going to be the twist, which it wasn't actually going to be the involvement like we thought. But it is. So it's not a hard movie to figure out on that case, but there's some great shootouts. There's a lot more action in this movie than I thought. It is a lot
of action. I mean, I feel like once it starts and we're chasing these people, it's like all over the place.
Because I thought it was going to be more of a crime drama thriller where they spend half the movie investigating and looking, not just shootout after shootout after shootout. Yeah. And all that is there. I don't think I expected as many shootout fight scenes.
It was a lot, and I liked it. I really did.
It was a good movie. It
was a really good movie, and he does a good job in everything, pretty much. I feel like
this was a nice change because prior to Black Panther, we were seeing him play a lot of real life people. He played the lawyer. I don't remember the name of the people he played. The lawyer. He played the baseball player.
Yeah.
He was playing a lot of icons in history and dramas and things like this. So it was a nice change of pace just seeing him in kind of a a cop action movie, and you believe him in it.
Yeah,
he works for it.
Thurgood Marshall is
Thurgood Marshall, yeah.
And then James Brown, Jackie Robinson. I mean, he's done so many of those. And then he was Wakanda Forever. So now to just see him be like a police detective was really cool. And he did a good job. Did it
hurt or did it bother you at all to watch him not be Black Panther? Could you separate that? Because
I didn't even think about Black Panther.
Because that's one of those things that I've always thought can kind of hurt. It's a benefit to your career, but it can hurt it because once you become one of these higher up people in a franchise of some sort, whether it's Marvel or Star Wars or Star Trek or any of these Harry Potters or whatever, it's like if you see Daniel Radcliffe in something, do you only think of Harry Potter? I
immediately call him Harry Potter. I forget his name.
Right.
I'm like, look at Harry Potter.
So that always makes me wonder, does that going to affect how somebody perceives the movie? Like, I look at it, my mentality is if I love Black Panther, which I do, but I love Chadwick Boseman before he got cast as Black Panther, I want to watch any movie he does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I like the actor, where somebody else just likes him because he was Black Panther and Black Panther,
Yeah.
And so if I hate somebody in that same movie, I don't necessarily want to see them in another movie. I look, is the movie good? Or is it interesting kind of thing?
Yeah.
So it's
and I didn't even think about Black Panther when we were watching.
There was one scene where he shot a guy and then he went.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
That did not happen.
It should have happened.
Anyways, it's a really good movie.
The Russo brothers produced it, so it should have happened.
You can find it now. I mean, rent it for $5.
It was another one we paid like $5.99, $6, whatever.
It's a good movie. 21 Bridges. It's out now. You should watch it if you like some action thriller something.
She was confused by their guns at first because she didn't realize they all had silencers.
Well, and it was making some weird noises. I was like, that doesn't sound.
Because they were running around with machine guns with the silencers on them, so they're going.
I was like, I want one of those guns.
If you take the silencer off, it's gonna be a lot louder.
Okay, yeah. So I need one of those, whatever those guns are.
All right. So, did you have any pandemic things this week that you watched or talked about?
What did I watch this week? I have gone back and I've started watching. What is the show? Dollhouse. That has been my Corona series of the week. Normally I watch a movie or something, but I'm watching Dollhouse right now. So we can talk about that on TV Tuesday.
That's right. Well, I'm in the middle of watching the Blood Fist series because I was preparing for an episode of Marshall's Movie Monday, but there's actually nine technically, but there's 8 films in the Blood Fist series that starred Dawn the Dragon Wilson. So I'm rewatching all 8 of them to prepare for an episode. So they will not be done for tomorrow. So tomorrow will be a different movie, but hopefully the following week I'll do that special edition Blood Fist series. There's also Blood Fist 2050 that stars Mike Mullins, but that doesn't count because there's no Don Wilson in it.
This poor dog is having a bad dream and kicking all over.
That's what I was watching. And because of a TV series I'm watching that I'll talk about on TV Tuesday, it has now spawned me to watch another movie that I'll talk about next week as my quarantine movie that I'm going to watch it this week.
Oh, there you go.
Because they had a whole episode about it. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, that's it.
Oh, I didn't even open up my stuff.
I'm ready.
I am not ready today. Hold on, children.
Okay.
Everybody calm down.
So we're going to talk about what's coming out on Blu-ray or DVD.
So things are still apparently being released on Blu-ray and DVD. They're just not being sent out as much, but we'll see what happens. This week we have, I believe we already talked about the rhythm section.
Yes.
So I believe it's officially coming out this week. Or maybe it came out last week.
All right.
The Lodge, which is another watch, which we haven't seen yet. Gretel and Hansel is coming out.
Not to be confused with Hansel and Gretel.
That's right.
I actually want to see this. We didn't get to see it.
No, and I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard some people say they liked it, some people that didn't like it. The sequel or the spiritual sequel, however you want to say it, it's a spinoff really from The Big Lebowski. The Jesus Rolls is coming out, so I'll be talking about that next week. So I'm looking forward to that. So those are pretty much the biggest one. Oh, I Still Believe is also coming out. The one about the Christian movie about the singer and his wife has cancer or whatever nonsense movie's about. So that movie comes out.
All right then.
Go ahead.
Coming out on the line. This is Tuesday. There's some Tuesday releases happening. So there's a movie called Arkansas. It has Liam Hemsworth and Vince Vaughn and some people. It's about some drug lord or whatever. I'm assuming in Arkansas. We'll find out. There's a movie on Apple TV called Intrigo Samaria. And it's about some girl's friend gets murdered, and then she goes to investigate the case. And it says, shocking truth behind the slaying. Ooh, Apple TV. Another movie streaming online, Cry for the Bad Man. No idea what this even is. There you go. And that's it on Tuesday. But then we get to Friday. Friday. Nationwide release, it says, The High Note. The dazzling world of the LA music scene. It has Tracy Ellis Ross, who is in
I know, this one with Ice Cube
Blackish. Yeah, and Dakota Johnson and a whole bunch of other people.
Is that the one with Ice Cube?
I have no Ice Cube.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that might be actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, I've seen the trailer. It actually looks really good.
Also streaming online is something called Valley Girl.
I believe it is the remake of Valley Girl that stars Nicolas Cage and whatever from back in the 80s.
Yes.
I have no interest in seeing this movie.
We'll see. Also streaming online is something called Crushed. I don't know.
We do want to see How to Build a Girl.
Yeah, and then How to Build a Girl we're going to watch because it has Beanie Feldstein, who is the sister of Jonah Hill. Or we could say Jonah Hill is her brother.
That's what he said in an interview.
Because she's making it pretty big, man.
He said, they asked him, like, well, how does it feel to be, to see your something? I don't remember if they asked her or him, and then the way they talked about it being Jonah Hill's sister. Mm-hmm. He goes, oh no. He goes, I'm Beanie's brother.
Yeah. I wonder, why do they not have the same name?
One of them's probably their real name, and probably the other one's.
Well, her name's Beanie, and she is hilarious. And if you did not see Booksmart, you should.
I think she has a TV series too.
What?
I think so.
I think we're watching that.
I think she's on something.
That's limited. These are not online, so
that's right for now.
That's it. There's a lot happening on the line.
We have a couple of giveaways going on. Our other ones finally ended. As I mentioned earlier, we're giving away copies of Ride Like a Girl.
That was a good movie, man.
It is fun. It's a good movie. It pulls at your heartstrings. It's interesting. It's funny. We're also giving away copies of SpongeBob Bikini Bottom Bash. It's basically a series of I think 4 or 5 episodes, 6 episodes, something that all follow parties and whatnot. So we're giving away copies of that. And then there's some other stuff that I just got word that's going to probably be doing giveaways on. So be on the lookout. That'll probably be popping up this week.
Okay. There you go.
That's it for now, sisters.
Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Sorry, without an earthquake.
That's right.
We did a good job. Make sure you check out the website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. Thank you for watching us on YouTube and Facebook. Don't forget, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram.
That's right. And join me tomorrow for another episode of Martial Art Movie Mondays, which I think I know what movie we're going to talk about, but it might change. That's why I don't want to announce it because it never knows about my mood. Eventually, we'll get to that Blood Fist series, and then I'll let Dawn know, and hopefully they'll talk about it at that point. Also, Tuesday, we're going to do our dangdest to get our episode in this week. I think it's been 2 weeks or so since we've done one.
Yeah.
And what are you doing?
The dog has a weird rib.
That's that same bone thing that sticks out.
The dog has this weird bone that protrudes out.
Hopefully we'll be back for an all new episode of TV Tuesdays this Tuesday. We got tons of dog back because we haven't been on the show.
Yeah, I watched a really good series.
And then back here on Sunday for another episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. And also, if you go to our Facebook, not our Hollywood Matrimony Facebook, but if you go to my Blakey's Martial Arts Facebook page, Blakey's BLAKEY Taekwondo. I do exercise classes. If everybody wants to jump in on them, you can on Mondays and Fridays.
Well.
Why not? You're stuck at home. You can exercise, whatever.
Okay.
And that's it.
There you go, then.
All right. Peace and love, children. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe or like our other channels. And I will see you next time. I'm alone now.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Peace and love, children. Peace and love.